ইংরেজিতে কি বলছেন বাংলাদেশের অন্তর্বর্তীকালীন সরকারের মহিলা উপদেষ্টা সৈয়দা রিজওয়ানা হাসান? চলুন জেনে নিই।
So tell me about a little bit about the work you do and the work you won the award for.
Uh, the area in which I operate is very broad. I'm an environmental attorney, so we do file cases on environmental grievances that people have. We do advocacy for having progressive, pro-people, pro-environmental laws. We do have our public awareness campaign. But the reason why I've got award is because of the judgments that we have got in a case filed by me before the Supreme Court of Bangladesh that basically challenges the operation of the shipbreaking industry in Bangladesh. Shipbreaking, I would define it as trade in hazardous waste in disguise. This is basically dismantling of all the toxic ships that are owned by the developed countries. But when they decide they don't want to ply their ships anymore, they will send their ships, sell their ships to countries like Bangladesh and India, where they are taken on the beaches and the whole dismantling process is done manually on the beaches. So we changed the industry on two reasons. One is that it is creating serious environment problem in the coastal area, and secondly, it is such a risky job that almost one laborer dies in every 2 weeks. So it has a very high rate of death, and it is also giving people occupational diseases, like people are suffering from asbestosis. It is so risky. The laborers are falling from the height, dying, they're losing their legs, they're losing their hands, and after working there for 6-7 years, they come out and they said we are not in a position to undertake any work anymore. So it's from the viewpoint of environment and labor safety that we challenge the industry, and we say that under the Basel Convention, any person who generates waste, it is the responsibility of that person to manage it in an environmentally friendly manner. The owners of the ships, who usually come from rich countries, they just sell off their ships to countries like Bangladesh, and by doing that they shift their responsibility to countries like ours. This can't happen. So any ship that comes to Bangladesh must come in a pre-cleaned state, either by owner or outside the territory of Bangladesh, and the court has decided in this line. They've also said that the ships that are there in the Greenpeace list must not enter Bangladesh. We got a verdict on that from the Supreme Court of Bangladesh. We also say that for the shipbreaking industries to operate, they need environment clearance. It is legally mandatory. None of the 36 shipbreaking yards have any environmental clearance. So the court has directed that all the 36 years should be shut down, but part of the judgment has been stayed by a higher court for 3 weeks, and the court has also directed the government to frame rules within 3 months to regulate the industry, and the rules will take Basel Convention, the environmental laws and the labor laws of Bangladesh as the basic premise.
So it sounds like a big victory. Is there, for Friends of the Earth members and activists here in the U.S. that are going to be watching this video on YouTube, if they're, they may be learning about shipbreaking for the first time, is there anything they can do, people in the U.S. can do to get involved or to help out or help with the cause?
Of course, U.S. is not a signatory to Basel Convention, but what is happening is some of the U.S. ships are also being sent to our buyers. So the U.S. ships are also ending up on the beaches of Bangladesh, and we are getting pollution from the U.S. ships also. The first thing that I would urge the U.S. environmentalists to do is to really do advocacy with their government, that their government in principle takes a decision in favor of signing the Basel Convention. That's number one. Number two is there are domestic laws in U.S. Like the Toxic Substances Act that basically prohibits the export of PCBs outside U.S. without the permission of the EPA. And recently there has been a case on the 31st January of this year, 2009, that the EPA has fined a buyer who has actually bought a U.S. ship which was contaminated with PCB and has actually sent that ship off to Bangladesh. So for the first time that EPA has fined someone for exporting a toxic ship outside USA under the Toxic Substances Act. What US and the other developed countries can do is when their ships come to the end of its end of their lives, they should take the precaution that the owners cannot just sell it to some person who would change the flag of the ship and take the flag of either Bahamas or Tuvalu or Mongolia and then eventually end up in Bangladesh. So US has a detailed guideline on shipbreaking. US should ensure that all the ships that carry US flags are dismantled here in the green recycling yards, breaking yards that you have, following the guidance that you have. And if they are to be sent to Bangladesh, that the owners of ships take on the responsibility to pre-clean the ships before sending.